of the Nantucket Finance Committee. It's Monday, February 2nd. It is exactly 2 p.m. and it is 2026. Welcome, everybody. I've got a call to order for the minutes, especially. I'm Jill Beath, Martin McCarrow.
Here.
Peter Schaefer.
Here.
Anthony Gudemond.
Here.
Joanna Roche. Here, Joanna. Chris Glowacki.
Here.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
Joe Wright.
Here.
And anyone else?
You said yeah.
Rob's here.
Jeremy, Rob. Hi, Rob. I thought I said your name. Sorry, honey. And Jeremy Bloomer.
Here.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's everyone. This meeting is being audio video recorded. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Martin.
Yes. True. Aye.
Peter.
Aye. They're right. You got all the words.
Rob.
Hi.
Chris.
Hi.
Anthony.
Aye.
Jeremy.
Aye.
Joanna.
Hi.
And Joe.
Aye.
And Jill, I'm an aye. Thank you. And thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to open this up for public comment. And I'm going to close public comment. So today we're just going to continue what we did last Thursday. We're going to review and discuss the 2027, mostly the enterprise funds. And so with that, I would like to go ahead and welcome Chantal Blase Murphy. She's here in person. She gets hi, Marks. Thank you for being
That's
here.
right.
Why don't you come up to the table, Chantal? And she's gonna run us through the culture and tourism budget to start.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me.
Thanks for being this.
Yeah. Pleasure to have you here.
So our budget request is pretty small this year, no major increase. We can kind of scroll to the bottom to the reason we're all here, really. We have no EIRs, no capital requests, no new positions being added. We're asking for an additional $1,500 for general printing. We do all of the brochures and such for the town, and we found that printing costs increased significantly over the last 2 years. So we're just asking for $1,500 to kind of bring us up even based on our spending from the previous fiscal year, and then an additional $500 under office supplies to cover the additional costs of passport services that we now offer through our office. So that's really all we're looking for. Everything else is pretty status quo.
But the salary and wages went up.
Yes, salaries and wages went up because you're seeing the position that we added last year, the special events and cultural affairs coordinator role. And that is funded through county.
It was founded through
Was
county,
funded
but
through
it's been
county.
moved to your
Yes.
budget.
Yeah, so now it's officially under us, so
Yeah.
it's showing differently now.
Gotcha. My question for you really is are there other things that you need? I mean, it's such it's such an institution on the island, and I'm sure you have so many visitors, and also you did some renovations, so maybe you can tell us about that, if that's been, a success.
Yeah, that was a huge success. We were very fortunate to receive the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism Destination Development Capital Grant. It is a mouthful to say. What was that, 2 years ago at this point, I believe it was. And we were able to complete the renovations on the building, very well needed, because it was a little bit of an eyesore.
I feel sad.
Yeah, especially as we watched all the other buildings around us get renovated, and then our windows, if we leaned on them, they would fall out. So we're really pleased and honored to have received those funds. To do that, we're hoping that as we move into conversations about the renovations of the restrooms, that those will get looked at. I know that's in the pipeline. We're just not quite there as far as scheduling with the general restroom renovation projects.
We did do some restrooms last year, didn't we?
It was slated to be done. It didn't happen, though. There were some scheduling snafus, unfortunately.
They have several public bathrooms they need to
Exactly.
do. I think they kind of wanted to do them at the same time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. They
That's
But
wanted-
the
I
money's been
understand.
allocated.
Yes,
Yeah.
as far as I know,
Alright.
yeah, funds have been allocated. It's just waiting. We're kind of the problem children because we have to be open April to December,
Right.
really. So it's hard to fit us into the schedule. So I'm confident that under Rick Sears, it'll happen, just have to choose the right time of year for us, and we don't seem to have much of an off season these days, so it's hard to plan around the off season. But as far as our needs, we're pretty comfortable with what we have right now, which is why we're asking for such a small increase. We'll see what happens over the next year, because I think Libby's figured out that I'm always finding fun new projects to bring over to the department, so I'm sure I'll find something else. But for now, we're pretty happy and pretty confident with the funds that we have. And whenever we find that we need additional funds, we get busy writing grants. And like, as you see with the DDC grant, we've been fortunate to receive grants through Mass Cultural Council as well. So, and Remain, of course.
It's a lot. You all have a lot on your plate, Chantal. That we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're a small but mighty department with 3
Joe, I
year-round,
have-
full-time year-round staff and 12 seasonal, so.
I see Joe, right? Joe, you have your hand up?
Chantal, were there learnings from the movie shoot that happened
Earnings.
in the fall?
Were there earnings?
From the movie.
The
shoot.
movie
Learnings or
shoot.
learning?
Do what you learn from the movie shoot.
Learnings or earnings?
Earnings.
Learning.
Earnings.
Oh, the earnings.
No, learnings, he's saying,
Oh,
learning.
learnings. I say, yes, there were earnings. And there were learnings as well.
Yeah, I bet.
We learned quite a bit. We realized when we began the conversations with the production company that there were a lot of holes in our film policy, and that needed to be filled. We spent about 8 months reviewing other film policies throughout the state of Massachusetts and trying to fill those gaps. We had several conversations with the Massachusetts Film Office, with the folks at the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. We actually connected with some scouts that work for Netflix just to kind of understand what they're seeing in similar towns like Nantucket, because we have such a, I'll admit it, I'm a Nantucketer. I have a very small view of the world. So I like to know what are other towns that are dealing with similar issues and have same demographics, maybe not the same constraints as far as being 30 miles out to sea, but small towns, what are they dealing with? And I think those were very fruitful conversations. We revised the film policy for the town that was approved by select board in December. I want to say December. I'm not gonna say a date because I'll be wrong.
Ironically, I think if we ever did a vote of the
Mhm.
people in Nantucket, they would have voted differently than the select board.
Interesting, okay.
In what
Okay.
way?
The select board wants to restrict it.
That's
And,
what I was
yeah,
thinking.
and I think it's very good for the island.
Yeah.
So it gave people jobs, it gave money to the island, and it broadens the appeal.
Mhm.
So,
Thank you. I'd love, I'll probably shouldn't even say this out loud. I did appreciate them choosing Nantucket. That was a long process to deciding.
It's very relevant to the author and.
Exactly, but deciding to do it on Nantucket, it's expensive doing anything on Nantucket. And
It is.
they worked with me a lot to understand what it takes to do a film so that we can figure out how to best improve going forward.
And I would guess that this was much bigger scale than the Jay Craven films that have been made in the past.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Jeremy, did you have a question?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I was curious, in the new passport services, how many passport encounters do we actually fix up through that?
So I wish I brought that with me. I should have brought it with me because it was in my
Sorry, you can follow up.
my report. I'll follow up with the exact numbers, but I want to say as far as new passport applications, we had close to 500 this
Oh.
past year. Keep in mind that our office was closed for 3 full weeks where we couldn't accept applications because of the renovations. And then as far as renewals, we're about double those numbers.
1,000.
No, it's a substantial success.
Absolutely. I helped someone right before I got here.
Oh, great.
I,
And then I was curious,
I used the service, and the person that came downstairs and organized me was fabulous.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
Jane, that's so good to
Absolutely
hear.
fabulous. I told Libby,
Oh, thank
I'm
you very
not
much.
surprised. Those things are really important in a small community.
Yeah.
They
no,
are.
no, that's great. That's great. Having dealt with it in a lot of other ways, I'm so happy we have that. I was curious, and do we do anything in conjunction showing movies with, let's say, Dreamland? For example, I know their drive-in has been very successful, but Do we do anything down at Children's Beach on the movie department?
We do not at Children's Beach. We have in the past. However, one of the things we try to avoid is competing because the Culture and Tourism Department, let me back up, manages the Nantucket Cultural District. We have all of the cultural organizations kind of under our banner, if you will. So we try not to compete with the programs that they offer, but instead promote theirs. So we promote the Dreamland Drive-In and all of the events that the Dreamland have going on through our cultural district calendar, but we don't offer films anymore down there.
Right. And then you were doing a lot of work. I said, I remember last year, and I saw it again when I reviewed everything about walking tours, where people, I guess, will have their phones with all the different walking tours within it.
Yes, so our office, in partnership with the Nantucket Historical Association, the Preservation Trust, we have some Mariah Mitchell walking tours. There's so many different organizations throughout the years, long before I actually stepped into this role, that they worked with FOG Schulte, bless you, to create some historic self-guided walking tours, and they live at the Culture and Tourism office. Stepping into more of a technological age, we will, of course, continue to offer the physical copies, but we are now offering the digital self-guided tours. So you'll have a narrator that walks you through these different spaces, and through the historic tours, we'll have images of the interiors of these buildings. Because of course, unfortunately, with the seasonality of the island, a lot of people, when they come here late fall throughout the winter, they don't have access to the inside. So at least we'll have those images and videos that they can still enjoy Nantucket even in the off season.
I saw one can do a scavenger hunt.
Yes.
cute.
Trying to get the kids involved with the history of the island as well.
I like it. This is kind of an off question, but what kind of merchandise do you have merchandise that you sell, or, or any plans for more? Or is it more like, hey, we want to protect all the other businesses that have merchandise, or,
Yeah, like I said, we don't.
like the
compete,
sale on a hat or something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, people just love all that. So
Yeah,
that's nice.
yeah, we
Good
don't.
round pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, or so many other businesses.
Yeah,
I just
every
didn't know if
store-
there was
every store
something
has
like you had your own.
No, we don't do any merch. That'd be fun, but we don't.
Yeah.
Only fun till you have to mark it down.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just an endless appetite for merch, it seems like. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah, but we're so lucky. We're surrounded by so many great shops that,
Yeah.
we can always direct them to those folks as well.
Absolutely.
Do you work with the people who do independent tours, the ghost tours and that sort of thing?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, we promote them. We have all of their information. They actually check in with us every day to let us know what they have available. And we keep a running list of availability and
That's
contact
good.
information.
Mm.
And the bus tours leave from outside of our office. They rent the parking spots out there. So we see
Works out
them
well.
5 times a day.
Excellent.
And you guys also do the restaurant opens, right? The
Oh,
whatever-
yeah.
That's
what
very important right now.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
it's probably the most visited link on the town's website. But yes, David does a fantastic job of maintaining that list, and the restaurants all keep in touch with us. And if he can't hear from folks, he will hit the streets and track them down. We also keep the lodging list going. I know that we no longer have an active lodging association, but we've kind of become the lodging association, if you will. And we keep the list of room availability for folks who happen to come here and don't really have any real plans, but we can direct them.
That's great. Chantal, thank you so much. Appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
in, and it sounds like it's all going really well over there.
Yes.
Sounds like a happy place too.
What was that?
Sounds like a happy place.
It is a happy place. I work for the best department in the whole town. And I'm sorry you all don't get to work there, but it's a fabulous place. Great people, and with the passport services, people always say, oh, it must be so hard. I'm like, I get to meet all of Nantucket's new babies. That's the most exciting thing. But thank you all so
And
much.
it's very
Thank
sunny
you.
right there in your building too.
Yes, exactly. And all my plants. It's great. It's a fabulous place. Come visit.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chantel.
Okay, we are going to bring up Chief Cranston. Is he on?
Yes, he is.
Hey, everybody. Hi,
Chief.
Jill.
How are you? How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having
You
me.
guys
Good to
a
see
little busy
everyone.
this weekend, huh?
Yeah, and fortunately not as busy as we originally expected, so that was a good thing.
Preparedness is everything, chief.
That's for sure.
Wait, congratulations.
Huh?
Your platform tennis, didn't you win?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Peter is bringing up that there was a paddle tournament over the weekend, so hopefully, thankfully, nobody got hurt at that. So we didn't have to
You play
call the
Sunday?
ambulance,
Did
but
you play Sunday?
Friday night and Saturday morning it was personal. But yeah, it was really fun. Okay, so Chief, if you want to go through your EIRs and I know we were not gonna bring up the capital items, but this one was kind of interesting, and if you wouldn't mind telling everybody about it.
Yeah, sure.
that
I'd be
would
happy
great.
to.
Thank you.
So to start with, personnel items under our expense increase request, it's for one additional firefighter. Our goal is to increase our overall staffing to be at a point where we can respond to multiple emergency calls at the same time. Historically, there's been a case where we have fewer firefighters in the building, and as you all know, we respond to both EMS and fire calls. Particularly in the summer months, we have multiple calls that occur at the same time. And the practice in the past has been to call people in from home, wait for them to respond to the station, get in a piece of apparatus, and then drive to the emergency. We're trying to get away from that, just because it's just the standard in the fire service is to respond to somebody's emergency as quickly as possible. So by adding this one additional firefighter, that'll bring our shift strength up to 3 shifts that will have 10 firefighters and 1 shift that will have 9 firefighters. So we're like 90% of the way of getting there, of having that staffing be where we think it should be. And then along with that, I'll just skip over the overtime for a second, but if we go into the operational expenses, a lot of those, the protective clothing and the training for the new recruits, both of those are directly related to the hiring of that firefighter. So if we hire a firefighter, we have to send him or her to the fire academy, and we put them up for lodging because it's off island. It's a pretty rigorous 10-week program. And so we house them. And then we also have to buy them gear that they can wear as a firefighter to keep them safe. And that gear is roughly $5,000. So those are those 2 EIRs, or 3 if you include the additional firefighter. The overtime increase is just it's a reflection of the actuals that we spent last year on overtime. The goal is to obviously be able to reduce the overtime numbers when we have all of these new firefighters in place and they all are trained and count towards staffing. Then the need to call people in from home should go down, but we're just not there yet. We've had some people leave, so as we're hiring people, we are needing to replace people as well. And it takes approximately a full year before a firefighter comes in, gets sent to the fire academy, completes that training, and then comes back to the station and has to be trained and signed off on every piece of apparatus we have, including all of the aspects of emergency medical services. So it takes about a full year before that firefighter counts as staffing. And so we just haven't achieved the sort of break-even point yet for the overtime budget. And lastly, the Lexipol software setup. This is a new cloud-based software package that we think it would be really helpful to improve the overall efficiency of the fire department. What this is, it's a cloud-based software package. It keeps all of our standard operating procedures, guidelines, rules, and regulations in the cloud. Every firefighter will have access to it via their phone. And the really neat part of it is it's automatically updated to reflect any changes in the laws, best practices, and it's specific for Massachusetts. So we think it's really going to help us, reduce liability, make sure that we're compliant with all the laws, and ultimately we think it's going to improve safety because of those things. So those are and there's a setup fee to get that in place. And then there's an ongoing subscription that'll be a yearly fee. So I hope that answers or at least explains very briefly what the EIRs are, and I'm happy to answer any questions regarding them, and then I'll get into capital after that.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go online to Rob Giacchetti.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. I was just curious, so given that really extended onboarding time of like a year to have someone productive, do you have a few in the funnel at any point in time, or if you lose somebody, what's
So
the
we,
impact
I
on
mean,
the field?
the way we've tried to do it is we've really focused on expanding our call department. So we try and recruit people to join our call department, and the call department is folks that want to come in and they want to be trained to a very minimum level. And that minimum level allows us to send them for a physical, which actually takes quite a bit of time in the onboarding process. But it sort of gets them in the queue. We have a monthly call fire department training program. And then if we have a big incident, like the other night, we had a house fire actually, and we had everyone come in and call people, respond to that as well. And they certainly can't go in a house and put out a fire, that kind of stuff, but they're really essential at a fire. They help roll hose and all of the really labor intensive things that we need help with. And when we get them in the pipeline, it gives us a chance to at least start the process of getting their background checks and their physicals done. But then it gives us an opportunity to observe how they actually work. And then if we decide to make that transition, and if they're interested in becoming full-time and we have a vacancy, then it's much easier to sort of just get them in the queue. They can start onboarding much more quickly, and we can get them into the next available academy class much quicker than we could if we were going through the process starting from zero.
Got it. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Jeremy Bloomer?
Yeah, just hi, Chief. Following up on Rob's question, how much does it cost us or Nantucket to put somebody up and train them at the 10-week academy?
So it varies depending on how many recruits we have going. So originally when I first got here in 22, we were putting the recruits up in a hotel, and it was not as cost effective as I think it could have been. So what we've tried to do now is we've been hiring people in groups. So as we have groups, we've been trying to do like an Airbnb and get a house that we can put 3 or 4 firefighters in for that 10-week, and it's proven to be more cost effective. But number one, it depends on the house. It depends on how many recruits and how many bedrooms we're looking for. But it's certainly, it's not, it's a unique problem for Nantucket. We can't have them commute every day to the academy.
But away from the housing, is there a tuition that we have to pay for? I was just curious.
No, there's not a tuition for the academy. The academy itself is free. So the main cost is the lodging.
Got it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Isn't that the $5,000 that you have on here, the training? For the one incremental head?
Yeah, so yeah, that part of it is for that, and part of that is for the training. If we have to when they come back to the station and we're training them on board, sometimes we have to have extra people come in that aren't on duty if it's in the summer, so they can actually train those guys and not go out on 10 calls in a 5-hour period. And, it bogs down the process. So once in a while we have to hire. We try and keep that cost to a minimum, and have the people that are actually working do the training. But yeah, that $5,000 certainly is necessary to make sure that we cover them and get them trained.
Any other questions on the budget? Great. You want to tell us about the capital item?
Yeah, this is some story.
So the capital item is it's for 2 compact all-terrain fire engines. So right now we have our engine 2 and our engine 3, which are these older, and we have a brush breaker, which is a really giant fire truck. Some of you may have seen it. It's got like roll bars on it, and we can use that to get into the brush and fight brush fires. All of those trucks are becoming sort of obsolete. They're older. They're hard to get parts for. That brush breaker is military vehicle from the 90s, and it's a 24-volt system, and we just simply can't get parts for it. So we've done a lot of research here, trying to come up with what would be able to suit our needs and is a more up-to-date way of putting out fires in tight areas. So some things we've noticed are we have brush fires, we have fires on the beach in some cases. We had a vehicle fire on the beach last year out by Mr. Rogers' house that was pretty tough to get to. And then with these brush fires, that engine 2 and engine 3, they have a unique component where you can actually be squirting water out of a hose and the truck can still be rolling. Now, most of our fire engines, once you pull a hose and you start squirting water, they don't move anymore. You're sort of stuck wherever they are. Those are bigger trucks. They pump a lot more water. They definitely are necessary and they're the industry standard. But we feel as though the other trucks need to be replaced, and a better way to replace them is with a more compact unit that we could take on the beach, that we could take off-road into the brush, and still have that, we call it pump and roll capability, where we could put out a fire and hopefully access more places than we can today. We also think there's a value in those two trucks in the downtown area if we had to get down a street that maybe a normal size fire truck doesn't fit. So certainly I think there's a lot more opportunities to use them. And I think it's, tactics change over the years, and sort of the big brush breaker that can take down trees is not, it's just not exactly the industry standard anymore. So we're hopeful that we can get approval for these two trucks. I think it's going to be a big benefit to the island. And I think it'll make our job safer and we'll be able to do it more effectively.
That's great, Chief. Peter Schaefer?
Yes, Chief, just a quick question. I asked you the same thing last year, I think. Is there any value in the ones that we're gonna get rid of?
Yeah, so thanks, Peter. Usually what we do is we trade them in. So right now we do have two regular, I'll just call them regular pumpers on order from previous capital allocations. And we're trading in two of our old trucks for those purchases. And we would be, the big brush breaker, we actually have to give back to the Department of Conservation and Recreation if we don't keep it, because it came from them. But engine 2, we would be trading in.
Thank you.
They get 20.
Joe Wright, do you have a question?
25,000 for them.
Michael, I've heard that that there is only really one manufacturer of fire trucks in the United States. Is that true? And it's only a leveraged buyout firm?
Yeah, so there used to be a whole bunch of fire trucks manufacturers. They've been bought up by some big conglomerates. So I think now there's like 3 different ones, which is not good for the fire service, in my opinion, because now it takes 2 and 3 years. We have 2 trucks on order that we've been told are going to take 2 years to build, and we have a ladder truck on order that we've been told is going to take 3 years to build. And that's why, because everyone and then we also had COVID, and we had the semiconductor problem, and none of these companies stopped taking orders when all that stuff was going on. So there's been a tremendous backlog, and now we went from having, say, 20 manufacturers to 3. So is really sort of bottleneck the whole supply. Hopefully that changes at some point, but I haven't seen any indication that it's going to.
Yeah. As long as it's profitable, it won't change.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe.
Peter?
Chief, is the price guaranteed regardless of how long it takes to build?
Yeah, so before we enter into a purchase and sales agreement, all the purchases we make really for any equipment over the $50,000 threshold for capital, we get off like the Massachusetts state bid list. So it's a set price. We sit down with the manufacturer. First, we sit down as a group in the fire department, and we come up with a list of what we need for Nantucket to make sure that we're getting the right fire truck and that it's the right size and has the right turning radius and does all the things that we feel are important. And then we sit down with the manufacturer and we put that list together and we come up with a price for the truck. And all of those components are all on the Mass State bid list so that we make sure we're getting the best price that we can.
Great, thank you.
Chief, thank you so much. And, we appreciate you coming and all your time. Anybody have any other good of the order or? Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Jill, and thank you, everyone. It's good to see you all.
You
Thank
too.
you.
We'll say if you've never been inside the firehouse,
Right.
go visit.
Huh?
I've never been inside the.
Oh, did you go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would miss that.
Get your hat and your band.
I know, talk about good merch. We
Yeah.
get some good merch from there.
What?
Maybe Chief can help us
My
out.
grandson goes every year. He loves it there.
It's neat.
That
Right.
was- It's just.
Okay, is up. Chief Casper on? Or?
Yes, I am.
someone- And, Chief, hi, welcome, how are you?
I'm well. You're glad I'm not there because I actually have a cold, so you're welcome. Normally I would like to be there in person, but you don't want this.
I think a lot of people online are having the same problem. Are you gonna do the harbor master budget too, or are you gonna do both, or is Sheila
Yes.
on?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
cover both, and the deputy is here to cover the majority of our budget, so he can cover our EIRs and budget questions, and so can I if you have additional ones for me. But I know the deputy is on.
Oh, great. Okay, take it away. Is the deputy gonna do it first?
Yeah, I think he's gonna start. If I just saw him in there. If not, I can start for him.
Chief, yeah, if you can go, I don't have the thing in front of me, so.
Oh,
if
no
you better
problem.
Start it off.
Okay, I'll get going then. So to cover our expense increase reports, you can see the or request the dispatch shift coverage increase. The overtime increase for the Harbor Master Division and Cecil, these are all just normal increases based on a variety of hourly rate increases, adjusting for overtime, really looking at our actuals over the last few years, and then trying to adjust to actually cover them. Increase in custodial supplies. We have a newer contract with a cleaning company that covers both the fire side and the police side of the public safety facility. And we've been covering some of those just cleaning supplies, paper towels, that sort of thing. And then ammunition costs. Last year, you may recall, we had an EIR for 2 additional positions. So we have 2 additional police officers. There are state mandated requirements for firearms qualifications, basically how many bullets we all have to shoot. And when we hire more people, we need more ammunition. In addition, the cost of ammunition has risen a little bit. That's a quick overview of our EIRs.
Excellent. And does anyone have any questions from the committee? That was super simple, Chief.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job and they keep it.
Of course.
Are we still on track for the renovation in Sconset?
Well, that is a good question. We're on track. So the deputy has overseen that project steadily for many years. And right now we've wrapped up phase 3. I know many of you were out there. Thank you for your time visiting the facility and taking a look at it. So right now it'll be before town meeting asking for the phase 4 capital money, which is about 5.4 million. So we are on track, but we will need funding for the next step.
Thank you.
Just so you and Chief Gibson know too, it did make it through the capital committee. It's in our recommendations. We just did that last week. So, which is excellent. Anybody else? Chief, that was, Martin, did you?
No, sorry, don't worry about it.
Chief, that was super simple. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That it? Steven, do we
Yeah,
have,
no,
is there something else in there that I don't know? I'm just looking at the list. Okay, good. All right, I think that's it. The capital items, those will be in the report and, yeah. But just so you know, the dorm for Chief Gibson in particular, that was in the recommendations.
Did the Harbor Master building make it through there? Is that still the hangover from the past or did that go through again?
It didn't come to capital in that way
It's
because,
been approved in the past, but never built.
yes, they already have identified, it didn't need to, but it's been approved. Yeah.
Has the money been allocated?
That also was authorized, but the money went up. I'm sure Chief,
Costs went up.
That's
Yeah.
also going to be part of town meeting for 1.5 million. That'll be supplemental on top of the additional money that has already been approved.
How much is that? Do we know?
the 1.5,
No, that has already been approved.
I think it was it 5?
5.4.
The deputy will know this. Yeah, what is it?
5.4.
So it's almost $7 million now.
No, it's 5.4 with the supplemental, which is from
Oh,
free cash.
okay, great.
So-
Thank you.
And the patrol boat, chief? The $603,000, what is that for?
Yep, that's just part of, we have a fleet, the Harbor Master Division has a fleet of boats. We replace them, occasionally when Sheila reaches out and says, this one's getting old, we're gonna need to replace, so they're on a staggered replacement schedule as best we can do that. And so that is a replacement patrol boat.
Okay.
We will eliminate, that will replace one, so it's not making the fleet any bigger, it's just replacing an existing vessel.
Yeah.
Have any special purpose out of curiosity? It's not a
Uh,
headhunter or anything like that.
It's not the headhunter, it's one of the deputy will know this too, but I think it's one of the aluminum patrol boats.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
correct. P1.
Oh, is that,
Yeah, that was,
is he just a little?
yeah, I think it was just cutting out.
Oh, gotcha.
That's fine.
Okay. I can tell you all if you want to know. Well, you all are gonna get a report soon, but those things are all,
Expensive.
they all made it. They're all in our report. They're all going in for what it's worth. So that's good. Okay, I think that's it. That was super quick for
Yeah.
police.
Good.
Thanks, chief.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Mark Willett.
She is on.
Water.
How are you guys? Everybody?
Hi, Mark.
Before we start, I like the committee to know that Susan and her team are a huge help to us. And they work with us through all of this stuff, and it's a thank you to them for helping us get through this stuff. I know with your guidance in the committee, the finance committee, it's important, but the people down there, Susan and her team, really help us out as directors. It's nice to know you got someone you can call and ask questions and help us through different things. So I just wanted to make sure you guys understand they're doing a really good job for us.
Oh, I could not emphasize that enough. Thank you. I'm glad you said that, Mark.
So for us, it's almost a rinse and repeat from last year. We have we are going to increase, as you can see on the screen, our inventory supplies that we use for our taps. Those prices have just been screaming up since COVID and continuing to go up every year at a pretty high rate to get the lead-free brass and the material that we have to use to make these service connections. And that's directly related to the price we pay for that material. We also have in a capital time for me to change out an old Ford Ranger that we have. We're going to be getting a new truck. The main thing actually for the budget for me this year, it's not really shown in there. I have dropped our money from selling water or water sales. The level of drought could have a massive impact on that revenue that's going to come in. So currently, as we speak, we are at a level 3. We got 8 inches of rain in October, November, and December, and went from level 2 to level 3. That's going to dictate how much I can pump, how much I can run the pump. Now, luckily, it costs a lot of money. So if I'm not pumping the pump, I'm going to save substantial amounts of money on electricity to get that water out. But, back in August, September, and October, when we were putting all these numbers together, I really, truly believed at this point we'd be at a level 1, level 2 drought. And we're actually, after getting 8 inches of rain, we went from 2 to 3. And finding out this morning that all the snow that we just received, the 8, 10, 12 inches, depends on what report you see. They're calculating the 8 inches, 9 inches of snow to 0.25 inches of precipitation. That's a quarter inch.
That's crazy.
So from the snow that we just got, they're going to say that's equal to about a quarter inch of rain.
Is there a change in leadership at Mass DEP, Mark?
No, it's the drought task force. I've been working with the USGS They have a few people from Massachusetts, United States Geological Survey that look at the different wells on the island and how they calculate why we're in a drought and when we'll get out of it. And they haven't been that cooperative in giving me answers. Still working with them, still trying to figure that out. But that's really the driving force behind the upcoming budget will really be water sales. It's a major revenue driver for us. It's that and the connection fees, right? That's where we really make our money. So
Well,
we may be a little short on that revenue side, which is fine. We know that's coming. I'll definitely make sure that we're short on our expense side as well. I will, obviously if I see shortcomings in our summer pumping and we can't pump the irrigation water that we're allowed to, if we have to cut things back, we'll cut things back on the other side. So just so you guys are aware, that's kind of where our head's at for this budget season.
okay, thanks, Mark. Martin McCarroll.
For whatever it's worth, I've got a pretty good rain gauge at home. I showed 4 inches. I record the rain monthly, rain gauge totals monthly. And I had 4.25, almost 4.25 inches of precipitation in January, including that storm. And in the storm, my gauge measured a full inch of moisture, including almost half an inch of rain on Sunday night.
I completely agree with you. We'll see where it's usually the middle of the month. The Drought Task Force comes out with the update, the monthly update. So I'm guessing in the next 2 weeks, somewhere in the middle of February, we should get an update. And I hope that someone made a mistake on the page. It's not 0.25. I hope it's at least 2.5 or higher in precipitation over the snowstorm. So we'll see.
Well, at least nobody's pumping for their flowers right now, so that maybe that helps.
Yeah.
You have to go around and like do spot checks on people, so. Are there any, Joe Wright has a question for you, Mark.
Okay.
Last year, wasn't there an expense for a pump? For one
That
of the
was for PFAS remediation,
No, they burned out a pump last
the
year.
replacement.
But there was PFAS, wasn't there a big chunk?
Yeah, there's our treatment system, which came out of retained earnings. So that was paid for out of like our retained earnings account. That system will be turned on in the spring. We didn't fill it with water this year. We just didn't want the system to freeze up. We'll have the building, the RFP is finalized. We'll be getting a building this winter to go over it. And sometime in April, we'll be turning that on. So that whole system will be up and running. And you'll see small increases in our operation for that. That's going to be a little more electrical. It's going to be a little more in professional services because we have to get our SCADA control is going to operate a little bit differently. We've never had a water treatment system before. Now we do. So the numbers increased a little bit.
Good. It's good so you're prepared. You needed it.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the committee? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mark. And just to point out, Dave Gray did come in person in case.
He always comes.
Of course he did. It's always showing us up.
He kind of does work actually, a little bit, sometimes. I'm teasing. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we've got Mr. Dave Gray up. You want to come to the table, David? And
Yeah, we were.
thanks for being here in person.
We were kind of giving some guidance if we're supposed to show up now.
Maybe only you and Sean Tossi have gotten that message. Maybe no one else got that message. That's great. Happy to have you, but we know you're busy, so.
And I've been away for 8 days. My wife was in the hospital in
Oh.
Boston, so.
Okay.
They just got back on, no, we don't know yet. They haven't given us any answers. She was med-flighted out last Thursday.
Oh,
and
no.
Brought her home on Thursday.
Oh,
It's been a
it's been a tough week.
couple of weeks anyways, yeah. She was in the hospital here for a week before.
Oh,
Didn't know that. Peter was metaflighted
Yeah,
twice in
twice
December.
yeah. But I'm okay.
It's a nice ride though.
That's what he said.
Thank God we have it, let me tell you.
I tell you, it's.
Yeah, and they did good work on me while we were going over to the hospital, because I had an open compound fracture. I could have had sepsis from it if they didn't clean it right. And they did a great job,
where did you have a compound fracture?
right there, in my ankle.
I'm wondering if you all should start a little alumni committee. that have been
You
methlated.
can't say enough about.
It's
You
true.
can't.
It's unbelievable. I went out, I think it was year before last time. It was absolutely incredible experience.
Hmm.
They're fabulous.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your wife.
And nowadays you don't know, because they're all traveling. I mean, you could have a brain surgeon or something just in the ER or working as a doctor, so.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
we don't have a lot here, but,
no, there were just
Take
a
it
couple
away.
of things, just like same thing with Mark, is our inventory and supplies. It's everything's going up, cost of pumps, pipe pieces, everything, so.
yeah.
And then the other one was just the electrical costs, is just. Hopefully, we'll eventually see that go down, but I don't know
Mhm.
when. We are gonna be doing a major upgrade at the plant, and a lot of the technologies that we're gonna be bringing in are gonna be designed more for energy conservation and savings and stuff like that, so I'm hoping that my electricity costs will eventually go down. The solar system that we had installed a couple of years back now is saving us about 33,000 kilowatt hours a month, which is just a drop in the bucket because we use so much electricity. But it does have a little bit of an offset. I'd love to do rest of my roofs out there. It's saving something. So those are just the two big, the ones I had. Everything else I was trying to keep is flat. Still trying to bring in more staff, which has been extremely hard.
Is it?
Just one of the first questions everyone asks, housing, do you have housing? Do you have
Yeah.
housing?
And you have a little bit, but you don't have a lot.
And the town's trying awful hard to get housing going, but it's gonna be a catch-up game for a while. Yeah. So those were just the two on the operating stuff, on the capital items, if you want to just touch on them a little bit, like I just said. The phase 2 for the Surfside treatment plant, again, the cost of everything are going up, and what the state and feds are giving out is going down. So in order to get where we need to be, that was a supplemental funding for the 9.25 to be able to get the full plant upgrade done. And that's gonna include something that we've never had before, is there's gonna be a vac truck dump station for catch basins. That's gonna be, you'll dump it, go through treatment, pre-treatment, and then the heavy debris will be recycled as road material or whatever, but it's all the liquid that comes off will be treated.
Yeah.
Before going into the plant, that's gonna be huge to get a lot of the VOCs and oils and everything else out.
Yeah.
Which
Sounds
we
like-
need. Right now, you just dump it and wherever you can get it, where it's dry, and then it goes back into the road base, but let's take and treat it the right way and get it done that way, so.
I think that's really exciting technology.
It is, it's, because a lot of the subdivisions, they're required to clean the catch basins, but nobody can take the debris right now. So this is gonna give an avenue for that. It's gonna be a small revenue stream, but it's gonna help. So,
You should charge the DPW for that, Mark. I mean, David. Jeremy does.
The Somerset needs has been big. There's been a lot of discussions.
Select board's been spending a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
You and everyone,
And,
that's been very important.
I think they voted to move it forward, but it's up to the voters now.
Yes,
I mean, it's a big project.
it is.
Is that financeable? Maybe I should ask that.
It is, but with the way the state and everything is going right now, I mean, if we can get it in by a deadline, we should be able to get 0% financing. But if we miss that deadline, it's gonna go 2, 4, whatever the increases will be. We're just about ready. We have plans that are ready. I mean, we could get a package together in the timeline, but we couldn't move too far ahead without knowing if this was gonna even be put on the warrants and everything, so. We'll see where we go from there.
Yeah.
And then the Surfside, the South Shore Gravity Pump Station, we installed this dry sewer line a couple of years back now when we did the force main and everything. So everything's in the ground. We just don't have a way to convey it into the treatment without putting in a pump station. So that's what the supplemental funding for that is.
Yeah.
That's it. I was hoping to have a year off from a big project, so.
You're never gonna get a year off for a big project, I don't think, David.
David, why did we approve the money for the sewer pump? I'm sorry. Where were you talking about in terms just now when you were talking about the certain money's been approved, things are in the ground already, but we don't have a pump.
Yeah, the gravity system in South Shore Road, that was installed forward looking for Surfside Crossing,
Tacoma Green.
Tacoma Green and all the other different areas. Plus it covered all the needs areas for MyCom, all the nitrogen sensitive areas. So we knew we were gonna be putting town water to the plant, and we knew we were doing the force main. It made sense to do everything at once, do all the brand new drainage, and then pave it once and be done. We don't have to touch it for 40, 50 years.
Except
So,
for authorizing the money to buy a pump.
just a pump station at the end. It's
Yeah.
gonna go on the plant. And then that's it. And we already did when we did the new force main, we left the connections and everything for it. So everything's there with a valve. It's just a matter of having the pump station to pump it up in.
That's it.
And again, and Mark was saying that the prices are just, a month ago or so, you buy something, a widget or whatever like that, and then the next month it's gone up $80, $100. But when you have to buy 200 of those, it adds up real fast.
Right. Do those connection fees, do they reflect the upgrade to the system as well?
When we did the regulations a few years back with the sewer regulations, we had changed all the fees. And they were designed to be able to go up by the CPI or whatever, every year, every other year, so you don't get all of a sudden, hey, we're coming in with an 8% increase. It's gonna be gradual. And it's working out well. If Somerset goes on, that's gonna be another big project with a lot of fees coming in and connection fees, et cetera, so. We're moving in the right direction, it's just. Cost of everything is going up, so. Hopefully gas and fuel and everything goes down.
Any specific reason for price increases? I understand that in terms of the cost
The
of.
biggest thing I think we're noticing is nobody's having overhead anymore. It's all to be built on demand, and then they get backed up, and then of course you have to order wire for the cable that comes from another manufacturer, and then the trucking costs have gone just. I mean, through the roof. When you get something to come through, we used to cost a few $100, it's now $1,000 to transport something from, say, Minnesota or something like that. So that's where we're seeing a lot of the costs getting changed over to everyone. I think right now we're paying 30% surplus for fuel charges, I think is what comes through on the bills. And everything, of course, most everything that we get, and with water and everything is big. So it takes a trailer load full of stuff to come. Chemicals have just been tough because the trucking and then the boats and everything else, so the costs go up if the driver has to sit there and everything, so it's just one little thing will just compound it. And I had hoped, now that we've been out of COVID for so many years, stuff would start to change, but I mean, go buy a toilet nowadays, the prices are shocking.
It's true.
The prices are really, I was shocked. I had to buy a water heater not too long ago for the plant, and back when I was plumbing. Yeah, it was $300-400 or whatever like that. Now they're over $1,000, it's $2,000, so. Now supply and demand, they get you, so.
Jeremy, did you have a question for David?
I did, Dave.
We had a great chat earlier, which was nice too.
Yeah.
Good.
I was,
It's a FaceTime, well, I guess maybe Zoom time.
Sometime.
yeah. So I was, Dave, I was thinking about coastal resiliency and the treatment plant right next to the Atlantic. How are we, how many years do we have, or how many storms do we have before there might be a big problem?
The facility itself, the actual buildings and stuff like that, we're far enough away that we shouldn't see any issues. The issue came with the discharge beds. Currently, the three closest to the shoreline are offline. We don't use them. One of them has been filled because of a couple years back we had overwash. Another one is being used as a stockpile storage site for the Lover's Lane whole project like that. We were the closest town site to be able to put material because the site was just constrained. So we have all their gravel and sand and stuff like that. So that's what we're using the second bed for. And then the third bed, we just have a lot of materials for the projects. Those are the ones that bed 3 was the closest to any kind of potential overwash, but that one's been filled. 2 would be next. That one's got 190 feet or something to the top of the bluff. Right now, we're waiting for an engineer to come out and do another survey. We usually do it every January, February. So we know where we're at. And with the grant, we just got a grant from CZM to do some coastal resiliency and some dune restoration work. And that's, of course, gonna be a challenge because people don't want to see any kind of hard armoring or whatever like that. It's to protect the facility. It's not like we're just protecting the houses or whatever. It's still all valuable, but at some point, we'll probably call the 3 beds of the ocean side as just, we can just let them go and then inland somewhere, whether we end up having to do steel sheathing or building up the roads or whatever like that. I was just out there before I came here looking, and you can see a little bit of overspray from this last storm, but nothing that what we could have had. And luckily, I will say this year and last year, we didn't see as many southwest winter storms as we had in the past. There's been a lot more nor'easters this year already than we were seeing for a couple of years, which was really eating away everything. So coastal resiliency is high on my list. I'm working with Leah and Vince weekly right now. I did get to meet when I was away one of the nights with Acadis, who's the engineering firm who's doing all the work, and got a nice face-to-face with them and talk. So coastal resiliency, we're watching very carefully, and every time there's a storm, you can find me usually sitting near the beach somewhere to see what's going on. And sometimes I don't get very much sleep, but we haven't lost a lot in the last 2 years compared to what we did 4 or 5 years ago when we were losing 60 feet of storm. So
Yeah.
it has changed. And again, different technologies are changing as far as some of this coastal resiliency stuff and what types of structures are there. Of course, you always have to worry about scour at the ends and everything like that. And, do we try gabions? Do we try just, sand on the beach? We don't know yet. We're going to study it the best we can to make it the most practical and efficient way to protect them.
And I think just so the committee knows that they probably do, but the coastal resiliency money that they ask for every year, they do studies that actually really benefit you, and then they can go in for grant money with that funding, so.
And Leah and Vince were able to get a specific grant for the plan of like $250,000, so.
Yeah, it's terrific. Yeah.
It's good, and working with the different groups, there's one woman that's on the DEP who's been there and so she's seen everything, and it's nice to be able to work with people like that have a past vision and
Yeah.
being born and raised here. I've seen what's happened to the beaches over the years, so I think we got some pretty good people working together.
Speaking of a past vision, I have a question for you about that. So who got the first sewer hookups here? And where was the original office?
Well, downtown, the original stormwater system downtown was originally the initial sewer system. There was a combined system that discharged at Brant Point, right into the harbor.
Right. So it
And
was the building down there, right?
like C Street, where the C Street
Yes,
pump station is.
exactly. So that was the
That has a
original.
date of 1929 when that was. And it was an easy system that worked on the principle of just gravity. If it, whatever way they could go. And back in the day, there wasn't a lot of building, so it went across people's properties and everything. Same with stormwater. And now that we've had so much growth, all of a sudden someone will dig in their yard and they're like, hey, we just found this big pipe and there's water coming out of it. Well, and there's some stuff that we still don't know where it is. We're trying to find that with all the CMMS stuff we're doing and the CCTV work we're doing. Because every now and then someone will say, hey, we're putting in a pool, we found this pipe, where's it go? It's like,
Right.
oh, we need to try to figure that out. So, and as simple a system as it was, they were at least thinking ahead, because just before you turn into the Coast Guard station on Easton Street, there used to be a gigantic, it was good size, probably size of this, it was a grit chamber to catch all the sands. And that's back from way in the day. And so they at least were thinking of that kind of technology to keep the sand out of the harbor.
Mhm.
Everything else did what it did, but, you know, they used to always go by the
Yeah.
solution to pollution is dilution.
Solution to pollution is delusion.
And it worked. I mean, but nowadays, there's so many other pieces to it compared to imagine how that was a simple system to today. You gotta worry about your VOCs, your oils, now PFAS, now everything else.
Now it's about extermination, it seems like, right?
And, you know, that's something that I didn't put in this year's thing because I just don't know. We know there's PFAS regulations coming for wastewater. We know they're coming,
Right.
but we don't know what they're gonna look like. So we're already working as an internal group on types of technologies for PFAS destruction.
Yeah.
With the PFAS task force, which has been, I mean, it's been really good. I went to a bunch of presentations on the PFAS over the year. We're doing Andrew Shapiro, myself are doing a presentation in Worcester in April on PFAS, of what Nantucket's doing.
That's great.
And we have almost 4 years of data for PFAS testing, so we have an advantage over some areas that haven't even started testing yet.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's great. You have that baseline information. So if the technology is there, I think you know exactly what it needs to do.
and
or
we
where it
know,
needs to go.
in our world, it's, everything we need is technology, it was data driven. So when I started testing, first people thought I was crazy, but it gave us the baseline, like you said, and I had the testing done at specific times of the year. I wanted it done in April, May, when the houses were all getting turned on, and then the end of November, October, so they got getting to see if that was a hit. And we saw some differences,
Mhm.
but
Between like when they were cleaning and
there's a
using
lot of
different
clean-
chemicals
yeah,
and
lot of clean
closing down and
supplies.
not using the same things maybe.
So,
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the committee? David, as always, it's a pleasure to have.
like
you
always,
and
I
hear
mean,
about it.
anytime, I think everyone's been out to the plant or whatever, so, or just feel free to reach out. I'll answer what questions I can, and
Thank you. We know that you're really ahead of it. It's very comforting to live here and know that you're here.
we try. And I had a great conversation this morning, but, which was nice to
Jeremy.
hear, you know, and, you know, I'm not one that likes accolades myself. It's my crew that does a lot of the work, but a lot of people say, well, you did, well, my crew's helping with everything that we do, so.
Well, you were part of that crew at one point too, so.
Yes.
You can sympathize with them on the cold weekend, where you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, you're going out, man.
January 4th, 2018. I'll never forget that day. I was doing the force main failed.
Oh,
I remember that day.
Oh, my God. But again, that's when Nantucket comes together, because I could make a call to Mark, or back when it was somebody say, hey, we need this, we need Toscana, anybody.
they'd all do it.
And it just, you know, it happened. It got taken care of quite quickly, so.
Yeah,
And
well,
to send
fortunate,
us,
yeah.
send the snow, an icebreaker to get the, 'cause I remember getting equipment here, get
Yeah,
Robert Orr.
And we had to have most of the contractors get flown in on a Black Hawk helicopter because the airport was closed, everything was closed.
Right.
You know, and it's amazing when you think about, you know, like what's happening now with the ice. I mean, Hyannis Harbor's gotta be getting close to freezing up, I would think.
It is frozen. That was the reason they weren't running, was Hyannis,
Yeah.
it wasn't Nantucket.
Hell, that's how it used to be when I grew up. You used to have to go to Woods Hole for 3.5 hours back in those days. So,
Oh,
no, I thank you, everyone. Like I said, just reach out anytime, and
I'd like to come out. I'll give you a
yeah,
call.
it's a fascinating place. It is.
yeah, wait till the snow and ice is gone, because
Yeah, don't worry.
we don't need anyone, more broken bones, right?
I've been outside enough in this stuff already.
Well, your department touches on all the other departments in every single way too, so.
So do you want me to touch on stormwater now and just,
Yes, please.
the stormwater is challenging. It's one of the things that for many years it was, you know, out of sight, out of mind, and now we're starting to see more flooding in areas, and I think a lot of that has to do with build out, and especially in the Brant Point area where every house has to have an elevation 10 first floor. So people are lifting their houses up, regrading their yards, and now the water has no place to go. So we are seeing some more flooding. I don't necessarily think it's from sea level rise or whatever like that. It does have some impacts, but for every half an inch, quarter inch, whatever the, you know, sea level rises, so's the groundwater. So we are seeing it. CMOM, mains and infrastructure stuff. This is something similar to what we did with sewer. We've already done one section where we cambered everything. One of the next steps are gonna be to take and see what we can have to replace and what we can line, like we did a lot of sewers downtown. So that's ongoing. One good thing about our stormwater situation is we're not considered an MS4 community yet. Where you have to meet a bunch of requirements. We think it's coming, so we're trying to prepare for it. Try to design everything, try to do all of our figuring, our engineering. They're saying that we are an MS4, but we're not yet, so it's challenging. The Children's Beach Stormwater Pump Station, which has been carried out for a couple of years now. The biggest question is that the right spot for it? Is that not the right spot for it? Can it be done in conjunction with something else? Whether you get into the concession down there or bathrooms or whatever, can we work together in these things? So Children's Beach's tricky. It really is.
Well, you have a lot of anxious people down there who I know call you a lot about it too, and they really want to see that change.
They have been great. The Brant Point Association folks, they've all been really, Caroline and everyone down there, if they have a question, they call.
Yeah, you have a very engaged constituency down there, don't you?
Very engaged.
Yeah.
Harry Rain and everyone like that, and it's really good to, because they see stuff that I don't, or someone else wouldn't see.
Yeah.
And they have that background, which it's extremely helpful to me, so.
Well, anybody that wants to know how to own a house down there really has to know a whole new set of parameters and technologies, and it's just a whole different kind of
Yeah. They have to have
homeownership.
Got to have the flaps and the move with the tides and everything else, and coastal storm flowage, and so.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on. Stormwater, we're also doing a lot of work on coastal resiliency, Easy Street, Washington Street. We're conjoined most of the time with Leah and their team all the time. Charles is doing the best he can,
Yeah.
all of a sudden now we have a lot of issues.
And Charles draws by hand. He does his own design and he draws by hand.
He's the old
Design
style
is
engineer.
very-
Yep, he still does it the old fashioned way. CAD, I can maybe turn the CAD program on, but I still can't figure.
Yeah,
figure it
but
out.
he
A lot
was
of times we
trying,
call Mark and say, hey, Mark, can you
he was
help us
trying
out?
to scale by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still does it all by,
It's awesome.
so. We're just trying to plug along. Again, we're trying to get some staffing for stormwater. It's just, we already had some positions, from before. It's hard.
Yeah. That's great. Do we have any other questions from the committee? David, thank you.
Good luck, all. Yeah, I have spoken with them. Yeah.
Okay, guys, next up is
The turn, I think the
Next
turn.
is Our Island Home. This will be our last presentation today.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I don't have as many stories as Dave, but I'll try, Dave. I'll try to keep up with you, buddy.
I can help, Bob.
Yeah, give me a few stories about sewage in the nursing home.
I think David's been here longer than everybody on this call today too, so he's seen a lot.
Really making me feel.
I think it's important that you're in that role, that you did grow up here and that you've been here a lot.
I think Mark's the second one that's been the longest, so.
It's great. I love that.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Take care.
See you all soon.
Bob.
Thanks, Stephen, for everything.
All right, so we'll get right into it. I have my trusty deputy, even though we don't call her deputy, but I have Michelle Monroe here to keep me honest. She'll chime in if I'm off on any numbers, but just to get right into this, the EIR is part-time housekeeper. We need some more help on housekeeping. We got a lot of infection control issues going on right now. We do things like a complete clean that really requires a lot of time. So for those reasons, we need some extra hours for next budget year. Also in case there's some call outs or overtime, we're trying to really reduce overtime usage. So it's the one area that we really haven't touched, but we all felt we needed another part-time position. That's the 30,538. The part-time administrative clerk, it's really a receptionist. Those of you that have been in the building, as soon as you walk in, you've got that front desk. And it's really important to have somebody there to greet everybody. It takes a lot of the load off the nursing staff and everybody else. And Sophia is our main person there, but we need someone part-time basically to complement her hours, whether it's weekends, evening hours, visitors come till 8 o'clock. So we want to put in that part-time person to really have somebody, manning that desk. Nursing aides overtime. This is kind of to fill in some underreporting that we've done in the past. I'm working closely with Michelle and Brian to try to look at recruitment to really cut down on our nurse overtime dollars. But for now, we'd rather budget it so we know that it's in there because it's real money. And that's really what that's in there for. Certified nurses aides. Now, this is a very important program. We're trying to do a lot of retention and recruitment to offset some of our travel nurse expense. So we're looking at a program with Upper Cape Tech in Bourne. And Amanda Perry and I have been working very closely with this. That $80,000 budgeted is for what we're calling a workforce development grant that's going to be working in conjunction with Mass Senior Care, our industry association, and the state. So what we can do is we can put in $80,000 to $20,000 per employee for potentially four students. I already have 2 that are interested. And that money will help offset their hours that they're not working in order to take the program full time. And in return for that, they have to guarantee to work for us for 4 years. So it's a really innovative program. Like I said, Amanda and I were on some Zooms for that. We're hoping that that will go through, and we've got to recruit some more folks, for that program. So that's on the payroll side. On the operating items, we don't have any capital items, by the way, but operating expenses, just to make sure we're putting in enough money to backstop any electricity increase. That's just sort of a backup for $20,000. Rent for employee housing. What we are trying to do is convert some of our travel nurses to stay and work on the town payroll. And in order to do that, the housing becomes the incentive that we've got to try to offer them. So that would be to supplement staff nurses if we can get them to transfer off of travel agency nursing to the town payroll. And then the third item there is tied to the one above, but the one above is just for those that are in the workforce development program. The $72,000 is going to be for the travel and all of the expenses that are going to be involved in that program. One other exciting potential, we're going to be putting on a press release. I'm working with Brian Lahane at the community school, and we're going to try to do an on-site LPN program that'll be on Nantucket. Now that remains to be seen. So this money is in the budget in case that doesn't come through, but we're looking at possibly in August to have a program here on Nantucket, not just for OIH people, but for anybody in the community that wants to go to LPN school. That would be high school students, other healthcare professionals. I have 2 CNAs that want to go on to become an LPN. And so those are things that have sort of become an obstacle for us because of location. We actually, along with that, I think Anthony and Martin and others who were here, we talked about, we've actually just had on a side note, a CNA placement program where we sponsored 5 CNA students here at our island home just this past fall from Upper Cape Tech. And 2 of those looks like we're going to be able to hire them. So that's just to give you the kind of the background on the sort of the purpose for those items there.
Peter, where are they gonna live?
Who's that?
The 2 that you're gonna hire?
Oh, they're already here on island. So the way this came about, Peter, is I heard through the grapevine, one of our part-time housekeepers, really interesting story. Andrea Barrett, great lady. She works part-time for us as a housekeeper. She came to me about 2 months ago, and said, we have 5 students that live on Nantucket that are CNAs, and they're in the program in Bourne. I'm like, well, why didn't anybody tell us? I was like, this is great, So long story short, we put 2 and 2 together, and they were looking for field placement so they wouldn't have to travel off island. So we created the host program here for field placement for those 5 CNAs, and they all live on island. One of them's already passed their exam. The other ones are waiting to pass their exams. As soon as they pass those exams, I intend to kind of go after all of them, and I'm hopeful to get at least 2 people that would like to work here. So
That's great news.
Yeah, it's a funny thing since I've been here. It's like, and Michelle will appreciate this. She finally has a partner. Everybody would say, no, you can't do that. I'm like, well, why not? We do this all everywhere else in the state. And they make up all these excuses. Now, I've got a lot of contacts. So I knew the folks at Upper Cape Tech. I used to teach as an adjunct, and I know the dean. So we were able to, and Brian Lahane from the community school has been fantastic. He's really been my partner in working through some of this stuff. So.
Oh, that's great.
Couple of hands up, I see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Anthony Gudeman first.
Thanks, Chair. Rob, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Antoine.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a story behind that one for everybody. Yeah. Another time on Antoine versus Anthony. Quick one, Rob. Talk to us a little bit about the process of getting OIH approved as a clinical site in order to actually make some of this stuff happen, right? Because my understanding was your CNAs to the LPNs and some of the things you're planning in terms of future gains and let's call it retention and attraction, all the rest of it actually hinges on that capability.
So the CNA for the certified nurses aides, we've already been approved. So that's actually, and that's money in the bank. And the it's interesting you're asking. The dean actually called me to ask if we could be used again for the next semester, which I think is starting up in March, the next crew. The LPN is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but what I think is going to happen, Brian Lahane has done this program before, I think way in the past. The hospital has what's called a sim lab, which is where the nurses have to go for some of their practical, like CPR and the dummies and all that. So it's going to involve some coordination of other community providers, myself, Nantucket Cottage Hospital. The community school would offer the classroom for the LPNs. The hospital would offer the sim lab where they get their lab training, and we would offer their hands-on, nursing orientation for really being in a healthcare facility. The one thing I have to check, and I think it's okay, they prefer hospital-based programs, but our level of acuity now in nursing homes, as some of you may know, we're taking patients quicker out of the hospital and sicker than we did in the past. So we've got some highly acute patients here. So I think we can impress them with our level of complexity of medical care, therapy, orthopedic, stroke, wound care, et cetera, to get them to qualify us as a site. So that hasn't been done yet, but I'm pretty sure we can get that done in due time.
Very good. And then to what extent would that allow you to then use that as an additional source of revenue?
It would, well, I don't know if there would be actual revenue from the programs, but it would be more savings on the expense side, because what I'm hoping to do,
Sorry, let me clarify the question then. As you are looking to ramp up your number of on-site registered nurses, you're increasing the capability of people by going from your certified nursing aides to more the LPNs and other. And that should surely then allow you, when you have a more stable workforce, that capability behind it, allow you to then extend that into offering services to other online, right? So that from that revenue perspective, because when I look overall at your numbers, 72% of your cost is headcount.
Correct.
Right. So from that perspective, then I think to myself, okay, what other lines of revenue does OIH have in order to help offset some of the cost that the town is currently carrying? And I think that one just kind of rings as, that sounds like an important opportunity.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else, Anthony?
No, I'm good for the moment. Thank you.
Okay, Joe Wright.
Rob, we've all heard the horror stories about the number of people that have lost access to healthcare. And I think there is a revenue line in our island home that comes from Medicaid.
Yes, Medicaid,
And
correct.
have you seen any diminution in that line since?
No, that's a great question, and Anthony brought that up when they were touring here. So two answers to that is there's Medicare. So we'll take the two public fundings. Medicare, which is a higher reimbursement for us. I don't see that program ever being touched for quite a while. That's a 100% federally funded program. It's one of the main anchors of healthcare for everybody. And I don't see that, having any problem with it. Medicaid is probably the one you're referring to. That's the state funded. And it's a 50-50 federal state match. And the good thing about being in Massachusetts is that the Governor Healy and the state budget actually approved an increase, believe it or not, an actual increase, I think about 120 million to the state Medicaid budget for this coming fiscal year. And so Massachusetts, unlike some other states, is always trying to do the best they can to kind of backstop any problems with people getting kicked off of Medicaid. There will be some changes in the eligibility requirements, and you may be referring to that, like work requirements and things like that. But our team here, Michelle and Barbara in the business office, we do a really good job of checking to make sure we can get people applied for MassHealth, which is Medicaid, and accepted. I gave you an example. We just had someone the other day, and what we're doing is we're trying to get people pre-qualified so that by the time they come here, we know they've got all their financial profile in place. So they have their Medicare. If they didn't have MassHealth before they come, we're recommending they start the application. We contract with a group called MediServices that actually helps them to get that Medicaid application approved. So I'd say for us, and the last thing I'll say is, being the only municipally owned facility left in the state, I don't think, from this is my own personal view, I don't think the state in particular wants to see any jeopardy, so to speak, to this little nursing home, specifically on the state funding side, because that is going to be the concern. Statewide, the percentage of funding in nursing homes that we all rely on is about 70% of the total number of residents. It's not just a problem here. That's pretty much across the board. We rely on Medicaid to fund nursing home care. So long story short, it would be a huge political issue if in Massachusetts, if there was going to be any significant changes. And I haven't heard of any changes yet. So,
Rob, thank you.
Sure.
Jeremy, do you have a question?
Funny, Bill.
I do, Jill.
Jeremy, do you have a question?
Yeah, I had
Yes.
to unmute it. Sorry. Hi, Rob.
Hi.
I was in looking what I've got. I didn't see the revenue side of anything. Was all the revenue breakout included in what we were supposed to review?
So first question I asked when they got there.
Yeah, I actually refer, yeah, that was Martin's question. I asked Brian about that. I mean, I can tell you that just flat out what the equation almost consistently year over year has been about, it's an approximation. I think we're going to be higher, but it's approximately 5 million in revenue, 10 million in expense, give or take. I mean, that's kind of where it's been historically. I will tell you what we're doing internally to increase revenue, because there is a story to be told there, and it's going to depend on how it ends at the end of this fiscal year. Our number of admissions in 2025 rose by about 12 or 13 over 2024. We're up to 47 admissions. So that means different patients coming and going. We've also increased our Medicare.
Jeremy,
There it
Stephen's
is.
putting it up on the screen now.
I see it, but I didn't see it earlier in all the stuff I got.
It's not there.
Yeah, that was my
Not
fault.
there.
It
was an error.
Yeah, it was an error on my part.
So I can just comment to you what you're looking at there is that if you look at the approved for 2026, you're noticing that the Medicaid revenue has increased. We do get an annual increase in Medicaid. That's the state funded. They just gave us a recent increase. What we do there internally is we have to evaluate all our patients to try to get them at the highest level. There's sort of subcategories within Medicaid, and we've done a very good job at consistently getting those higher sort of sub pieces of reimbursement. Private pay, you can see that's gone up to 1.9 million. Our private pay revenue increased. We worked with Brian in the town. We hadn't really done an increase on private pay in a number of years. So we did a one-time increase to $600 a day for semi-private and $620 for private. That was up from some like, was it $475 or something like that?
No, it was $560.
$560. So we went up significantly, and we're going to be doing a 2.8 COLA increase on that private rate every year going forward. where the opportunity for revenue, if you go down to the Medicare A part, we're a little down this on the 26th approved, but if you look at the actuals, 805 versus 490 between 2024 and 25, that's specifically what relates to when I said earlier those 47 admissions. We are now doing a lot of marketing. Before I came here, marketing was what was that? A nasty? I don't know what marketing. They would say with it like marketing, but there wasn't a lot of marketing done. We have now branched out to a lot of the off-island hospitals. I'll give you an example. Cape Cod Hospital. We had 8 admissions from Cape Cod Hospital in 25 compared to just 1 or 2 in the previous years. All of the MGB network hospitals now, Boston, Faulkner, all up and down, they have a really good understanding of what we can do now at our island home. And to your point, Anthony, the therapy that's offered, the 5-day a week PTOT, physical occupational therapy, speech therapy, wound care, stroke, all of those types of patients can come in under Medicare for at least the first 20 days, and they can be at a much higher reimbursement. So there's opportunity there.
Rob, what is the alignment of interest on revenue between the management, yourself and others, and the performance of our island home to drive this marketing?
Say it again. What is the relationship between?
What is the alignment of interests? In other words, if you embark on a brand new marketing effort, whatever it might be, how are your interests aligned with reducing the loss of this facility, increasing the revenues?
Oh, that's kind of just an internal. That's something we talk with Brian and Libby about, and Rick, as far as setting our goals between us and the town. I think overall the goal has been to my personal goal, and that's part of why I came back, is to kind of shrink the amount of money that is paid for out of tax money, that override that we're talking about. So my goal is to at least stabilize that, and in fact, reduce that reliance on that by increasing revenue. That's why we keep pushing the Medicare bucket as well as the private pay. Now, the challenge in that is we still will always have as a mission to always offer beds for Medicaid patients. That's why we're here.
Right. Let me rephrase the question. You and your management team in operating this hospital, our island home, how are you guys incented to go out and create new marketing endeavors and bring in new sources of revenue? Or are you?
No, we're not. So let me rephrase that. Now I understand your question. We're not in a quote typical management contract. I know what you're referring to. We're strictly on a consultant contract for different areas here, clinical, operations, and billing. We are not incentivized at all to get paid more based on revenue. Not at all. Well, but this is what we are incentivized on, is to do a good job so that our overall contracts get renewed each year.
I understand. So let me ask this question.
Sure.
I've noticed one of the things you want to do is to improve or expand rehabilitation services, which is great. But how does that then compete with all of the existing services on the island, including at Mass General's Cottage Hospital, for doing that?
It actually does, and it complements them, because right now, in other words, if we weren't able to provide that, some of those folks wouldn't be able to go to a nursing home. So in fact, we work very closely with Jameson, the physical therapy director at the hospital. And what happens is, if they would have to either hold the patient longer at the hospital and or discharge them, I guess, to home care and try to find some services in the community. What we're talking about is that patient that's in between that needs, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks of continued, more aggressive therapy every day, or 5 to 6 days a week, before they can then go home. So we're actually partnering with the hospital to really, and that's another thing that's helped increase our revenue stream. Some of those folks before, when they'd call our island home, let's say a couple of years ago, before we had the full therapy program, we couldn't take them. So I think, I don't know enough about their finances, but that would then be a burden on them to keep those folks longer than they're paid for. And that could create a problem for them as well.
No, I think that's great. Last question.
Yep.
If roughly a $5 million roughly fixed expense is required to serve 47 patients in a year. What number do you need to grow to in order to cover the $10 million a year fixed expense?
You can't go by patients. You gotta go by bed days, because patients come and go.
Yeah,
So
no,
you-
okay, no, that's fair enough. But whatever the appropriate metric might be.
You talking about an overall revenue or?
Well, today we got about $5 million of revenue. You got 47 admissions of a different mix last year. You have a census today of 37, up from 32 a little while ago. How large does that number have to be in order to begin to move up on the 10 million fixed expense?
So I'll tell you what I call my stretch goal. This is my, what we've kind of done internally. What I would like to see, my own kind of internal budget, would be if we could reach an occupancy census of 40 consistently, average, 40 residents or more average for the entire year. I would like to see, we call it quality mix, where you combine the Medicare and the private. I would like to see 8 Medicare and, again, these are averages, and 10 private. That would be 18 residents out of 40. That would be at a much higher reimbursement rate. And that would give us about, give or take, as close to 40%, between 40 and 50%, what we call quality mix, would begin to significantly turn the revenue picture. I'll give you an example of why I say this. We, Peter, you might remember, we toured a nursing home called Dwyer Home up in Weymouth. Yeah. And it's very similar. It's not town owned, but it was a 50-bed nursing home. And they went through what we hope to do in the new building. They went through a complete renovation from semi-private rooms to all private single rooms, and along with some other renovations. And almost overnight, the administrator there told me they increased their Medicare census, their private. They have a waiting list for private folks right now. They have a little bit of a different rate structure from us, but that's the part. And you would probably hear this from any other nursing home, administrative folks. You've got to get that mix while you're still able to take Medicaid as close to 50% quality mix. 40% is actually excellent. So that would mean the Medicaid, the state funded, would go down to 60% in our case, or even lower.
Can you explain to everybody how many days you get Medicare and how the Medicare client becomes a Medicaid client?
Medicare, which is the federal, that's, you're allowed up to 100 days per calendar year under Medicare. The problem is the first 20 days it's paid at 100%. And then day 21 through 100 is what they call an 80-20 coinsurance. So already on day 21, the residents at risk for paying $271, something like that. $217, thank you, Michelle, dollars a day out of pocket. The other problem with the Medicare is you guys have all heard about these Med Advantage plans. So Medicare is contracted now to these private insurance companies who are running Medicare for them. You've got Blue Cross, you've got United, you've got, Secure Horizon, and they are much stricter on certifying those patients to stay here. So even though you're Medicare, you're getting paid more, it's very difficult. You have to go in almost, weekly to make sure you can recertify that person to stay here. So what happens if they're here on day 20 or whatever, they can't pay for it, or they just need to stay longer and Medicare cuts them off altogether? We can then apply for Mass Health while they're here, and we can get an application approved retroactive to their date of when they needed to get covered. Now, internally, we refer to these as short-term versus long-term. They're not always the same, but generally speaking, the long-term patients who are here for years, and we have many of them, who are here on Medicaid. We call it Mass Health in Massachusetts. So internally, we talk about short-term rehab being mostly Medicare because they're coming right from the hospital. They need to have a 3-night overnight stay in the hospital. Then they can come to us. That's the group that we're trying to increase. I'd like to get that to be, as I said, to be an average of 8 And, you know, for the year, those numbers would work out to. be-
And Rob, when you can get to that appropriate mix,
Yeah,
what does that then do to the 5 million of revenue? Does it move it to 6? Or
yeah, I'd have to, I don't have the exact number. I mean, I was looking at a number of about 1.5 million increase in total revenue, at least, based on some of those numbers. It probably would be more than that. I don't have that number in front of me. We can get
So
that.
is it aspirational to say that over time, if a mix shift could occur and additive services provided, the town's required $5 million subsidy could actually be reduced to closer to 3 million?
From my perspective, yes, but I have this healthy argument with Brian all the time because and, you know, I'm always aspirational. So from me personally, yes, I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen it happen. That the example that I gave, the Dwyer home, is an excellent example. They have absolutely accomplished that. Now, we have to talk, if we're talking openly, you know, some of this has to do with the management capabilities. That's a privately managed. Actually, I think it's nonprofit, but both nonprofits and private have had the same success in activating this formula that I'm talking about.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Joanna has another question.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. This was good conversation. I think it's probably one of the more important things we're going to talk about. So I had just, I think, really two questions. One of which is, I would love to hear your opinion about the longevity of this facility, right? From where you are at, what is the lifespan of the facility?
The current facility?
Yes.
So we've talked about putting together, for example, a 5-year plan if we end up having to stay here. But I will tell you, I'll answer that in two parts. The actual physical potential maintenance of the building, I'd say probably a 5-year lifespan, if that. The issue really comes on everything else we're talking about. I'll give you a reason why. We brought in some folks from Sherburne Commons, for example. We have 2 referrals coming from them. They're all private, beautiful apartments. I can tell you, and I think Anthony, we talked about this. As soon as you walk into this building and you go into one of our bedrooms, honest to God, we make do and we do a great job, but they walk in and they go, oh my God, I'm not bringing mom, you know, so, and I say that with love in my heart, you know, so there's 2 parts to that. I think physically, we've done a fabulous job of maintaining life safety code. The physical plant guys, Aaron and the troops here, they're absolutely great. You can jerry rig anything, you know what I mean? I mean, that's my personal answer to it. We have no space. You go in, if we started to get to be 40, 42 right now, I mean, we have one small activity room, one dining room is great. But that's it. You can't even find a chair to sit in the resident room. So it's really the doorway. Yeah. Oh, we had another example. We were doing a fire drill and we literally were trying to get the bed out of the doorway and the doorway wasn't wide enough. So that's kind of an extreme. So short answer is at some point it's going to catch up to us, whether it's physical or other points. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
There's no showers in the rooms.
Yeah, so.
The second part of my question has to do with the fact that there's no capital items on your budget request.
You did put in for a truck, Bob.
We did put in for a truck.
It was a facilities truck, actually.
It was probably under DPW.
Yeah, and it came in through DPW, but it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the answer to that is we've had previously approved, there's stuff that's already been secured. We've had over 400,000 worth. Everything that we needed, we have a window project starting, already pre-approved. We have fire dampers and doors starting, already pre-approved. So there was capital that has already been preloaded that we did not need to put into a new increase.
But are there capital, I mean, because I've just been listening to this conversation and I'm wondering if there are capital things that could be put into the budget to help with some of the problems that you've identified, right? I know you're not going to create space from nowhere, right? Like I get that part of it, but are there places within the facility that things can be restructured, say, or could there be ways
like
to
adding
get
bathrooms and stuff, Joanna? I mean, bigger things like that, or
Or
Butter.
fixing what's there, or like when you're talking about this mix, is there a way to work with what you have? I guess that's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, the unfortunate answer is no, only because
Okay.
what happens once you break that into, and this is a struggle, by the way, throughout the state, and unless the state changes something, what happens then is you're stuck now on meeting the new updated code compliance for building, structural, life safety, and all that. And what it does is it opens up a can of worms. Could it be done? I mean, technically, I
It
get
can be
it.
done right, yeah.
It would be so difficult because you know, that's why the internal is, like I say, the internal is fine. We did, by the way, we did put in sort of an emergency capital request. We had a full-blown review of the entire building. Brian and Libby had asked for that, just to have that in our back pocket, just to comply with certain things here in case we end up staying a little longer. So we have that. But anything more significant as far as space, unfortunately, it's very undoable because of the code compliance issues.
And that kind of money kept happening.
It sounds like, Bob, you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. You want to increase the revenue, you want to show that, you know, you've already increased your patients, right? I mean,
Right.
that's been
Yeah.
a significant increase in the last year compared to what was projected. But then if you increase your patients, then it sounds like you've really run up against the life cycle of the facility. So
That's
right.
you
That's why we want a
so
new
it
building. So I'm not gonna go there, but that's, yes. to your
No, I
answer.
know, and it's fine. I mean, we've all talked about this issue for
Yeah.
years now. I don't think there's anything anyone's trying to hide or not talk about. That's not it. And the committee will definitely talk about it more with you, probably the end of March when the bids come back, but it
Yeah.
does sound like that there's opportunity there and that things have been going in a better direction. And then it's, you know,
Yeah, and I'll tell you, not, I know the hour is late, but just to give you some other on the positive side, we're now a 4-star rated facility, which means
I saw
Yeah.
that. That's
yeah,
amazing.
that's unbelievable. Went from a 1-star over time, and you're gonna love this one. There was a time we were actually, believe it or not, we were a 5-star on the staffing. There's 3 internal measures: staffing, quality, and survey. And because we have a lot of staff, they don't care if it's travel nurses or not. But in terms of number of bodies, and Anthony, we talked about this a little bit. We actually looked great on the staffing grid because we're a small building. So they go on. At the same time, on the quality measures, we get penalized because we could have one fall, but one out of 30 residents is so it's not like 1 out of 100 in a bigger facility. So there's a lot of positive momentum here in the building. I just have to say that. I feel that way. I know Michelle does. And I think the people here do. I know Anthony, you were here, Martin was here, Peter, you've been here. To your answer, yeah, it's hard. We all feel like we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. I think we've all arrived at the same place. How's that?
Definitely. Well, we're all going in the same direction, Bob.
We'll end up there sooner or later. Yeah.
We should, and I do want to encourage the committee, if you haven't been over to our Island home, you definitely should go and tour the facility. And I think most everyone has. But I haven't come since you've been there, Bob. So
Pretty incredible.
yeah.
Welcome to have you.
Thank you.
Look, there's nobody more supportive of our Island home than me, yet I didn't stay there when I needed a nursing home just recently. So, I wanted a private room, I wanted a shower, I had to stay somewhere else.
That makes sense. Thank you, and thank you, the committee. This was
You're
good overview, and I think we've completed our budget review. Our next meeting is tomorrow at 4. It's the public hearing, so I really do need a quorum. I think you all are planning to be
Okay.
here, and I have to read aloud.
Thanks,
all
guys.
84 Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All 84 articles, and if we can make any motions tomorrow, we will, and we'll talk about that maybe in the beginning after you and I coordinate a little bit more of that. So Joe, did you have a question?
When are we going to see the capital plan, the report?
You're not gonna get that, we're just writing it now. And I don't think I can have that ready before like the 18th of February, actually. I'm hoping it's sooner. But the committee can't really meet to review it and approve it before the 12th of February. But you can always see the list of all the projects and what people asked for, and we can get you that list. So that I think you've seen that list that's been up there.
I saw a list in December. I don't know how much stayed on the list or whether the list was trimmed.
Well, that's because we just only debated all that on Thursday. So, we'll definitely get that to you in the final report, and I don't mind. I don't have a problem sharing that if you wanna see it. I think that's where the report's gonna be, so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Can I get a motion to, Martin, did you have a comment?
No, I just, let's adjourn. I'll ask a question
So moved.
then. Second,
Martin,
yeah, aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Joe? That's for adjournment.
Aye.
Thank you, Anthony,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Yeah, he said it.
Rob, Joanna. Joanna, thank you. Is that, I think that's
Yeah,
everybody, yeah.
Joanna.
And thank you, Stephen, for being here, and thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
You guys.